Thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. First thing that I want to address is we have a Sped budget that we have to get approved annually.
Okay.
And typically, we have gotten about 600,000, give or take, for special education funds. Last year, they sent us extra funds because they had additional funds to the tune of about total of 800,000, which is putting our carryover in quite high. So our carryover currently is about $700,000 in special education funds. If they come in and do a fiscal audit, they're gonna cut our funds back regardless. You can't carry over special ed funds to that extent. So in this budget, we've asked for $354,800, which is what we need without any, extraordinary costs. And if there was a case like that, we could go back to them and ask for more, but it's pretty much our budget. So I don't know if anybody wants to look through this. It's pretty lengthy, but it would just be a signature from the chairman to agree. I can just let you kind of look at that as maybe address it at the end.
Yep.
We've got quite a few things in here of things that are going on with projects. So we're in the middle of that cement project down there, and you probably maybe driven by there. I think that should be done hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And it's nice to have a new concrete. CDC grant, we're still trying to get the water fountains replaced. Trying to get contractors right now is quite a feat to try to get them around to fix things. Waiting to hear on the COPS grant yet, and we're still waiting to hear on the ARP grant that we submitted last month. The emergency connectivity funds, we've been working on that, and that's very restrictive. So I talked to the tech committee yesterday. The only thing you can really claim on that is what you're purchasing in the future. And that is, we can't go back and recoup routers and things like that in this particular fund. I think we can recapture some of that money in the NTIA grant, which is due September 1st. The only thing we can get out of the connectivity fund grant would be the iPads we purchased last month after July 1. So we'll go and claim those. It's not a lot of money, but we'll try to get what we can out of that.
Okay.
There's a couple of approval pieces up there. One was for the outdoor playground. I've got a copy of what that looks like. I meant to set that picture up here, but you can see the bids are in your packet. And there's 3 in there. The most competitive bid is a company called BCI Burke Company. They are currently working on a playground project in Wagner, South Dakota. So the quality of work, I guess I feel good about that. We've got 2 other bids there, so I guess I would ask we put this in our CRSSA budget for outdoor learning environment.
This would be at
the elementary playground. So the contractor's supposed to come in this week and put those basketball hoops in down there and restructure the current, that blue and I'm colorblind, I think it's blue and yellow. That yellow playground that's down there, kind of get it so it's formed up away from the building a little bit. This would be alongside of that, another play area. We haven't done anything with the chain link fence because the portable structures need to come out of there yet. And they're talking by November that they'll have those removed, but they're gonna have to take them out the west side. And so we'll have to tear down that fence to get them out.
Okay.
And once that's done, we can encapsulate that entire playground with the chain link fence and make it safe and secure for our kiddos down there. So this would be an additional playground. which is somewhat needed down there. And that this one has got a capacity for close to 60 kids at a time.
Jeez.
Like 30 by 50, the size of it. So I don't know if anybody has any more questions about that, but that would take a resolution to.
Can you work with Ursula on the verbiage of that then?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Thank you.
Do you need a motion on the lowest bid?
Yeah, I would recommend the lowest bid BCI per company.
I'll make a motion. Got a motion by Cody, second by Donovan. Any discussion? Anyone? Call for the vote. Donovan? For. Stephanie?
For.
Marv? For. Cody? Motion carries 4-4, 1 absent. For BCI, Bert?
Okay, thank you. Yep. The next one to be discussed, and I apologize for this. I went on the word of GenPro that bid those lights earlier, and they told me they had an agreement with West Central to get those poles installed for free. I called West Central to kind of arrange it, and they said they never agreed to that. They agreed to install them for free, but they didn't agree to provide them for free. So I had to go back out for bids, and this is somewhat complicated because of the distance and the length of the poles. So the poles are $1,900 a piece, and West Central's bid, you'll see that. They will set those poles at no cost to the tribe or to the school. Kennebec put in a bid, but they didn't. They don't have the equipment to set the poles, so they really can't do the job. They'd have to borrow either from Guest or from West Central. I called Central Electric. They said that they can't really do it because it's a co-op here, and it wouldn't be cost effective for them to come out and do it. And I asked Guest, and he said, well, we can't get the poles. We'd have to get them from West Central, but we could set them for $400 a piece. So with all that said, my recommendation is that we approve to go with West Central. And because they're gonna set them for free. So if you had Guest Electric do it, you'd have the cost of the poles plus $400 per pole to set them. So I'm sorry for the confusion on this. I guess I was understanding that they were gonna be free and install for free, but that was not the case.
Motion to select West Central.
Second by Donovan. Any discussion? No. Oh, can't vote until he comes back.
I did attach a calendar and our in-service agenda in there in the back of this packet for you, for reference. One of the things I'll mention while we're waiting is the fair, historically, I guess, I don't know what the plan is for this year, but they would normally get half a day off on Friday and a full day off on the Monday following the fair. What we've kind of agreed to do is, in the agenda, you'll see it reflected. Basically, we want our teachers to get one full workday in through that 4-day weekend. What and maybe you remember, Chairman, when you were there, what we tend to hear from our teachers is we don't have enough time in our classrooms. We have a pretty full agenda as far as those days. So we're gonna give them their classroom day that weekend. We're gonna trust that they're gonna get their will.
Real quick, Marv, any discussion on the bid for West Central to install the light poles? Stephanie was the motion maker. Donna is the seconder?
Yes.
So we're us on discussion. No discussion, they're calling for the vote, for West Central on this page of the school packet.
Okay, I didn't, sorry, I'm trying to get these ones out, I'm sorry.
Call for the vote. Donovan? Stephanie?
For.
Marv?
Four.
Motion carries 4-4, 1 absent.
Okay, so, I'll go back to the report here a little bit. So deferred maintenance, I mentioned this, they're doing the concrete and the doors are supposed to be installed here, hopefully in the next couple weeks for the gym, to the commons, to the gym. Removal of portables, estimated completion date is November. I got an email to that effect from them, the BIA. The ARPA funds, we haven't set a budget on that just because we're trying to work our way through that CRRSA funds, which is last fund balance on that's about $800,000 yet. So we're trying to get some of these projects done here before the start of the school. And then I left, we have a return to learn plan. We caught a mistake on the front page. We got the wrong date on there, so we'll change that immediately. Just basically what we're looking to do in a nutshell is go back to school as regular as possible, but everybody wears masks. The CDC's kind of gone from a 6 foot being the requirement to maybe a 3 to 6 foot. We'll try to space as much as we can. If we would get a situation where we would have to move to phase 2, we would move to more of a more mitigation measures. And then a phase 3 would be hybrid. We would have half the kids. You know, we're hoping that we can keep everybody safe. We're really trying to push for the vaccination through our 12 to 16-year-olds. We've been doing sports physicals and we have that part of the application form. So I think a lot of our kids have gotten the vaccination through that process. But that's kind of where we're at without reading through the whole thing with you, where we're at with the return to learn. Concerns or?
Yeah. With the sports, so how would we do that? Then we do the weekly testing or bi-weekly testing or football and
We'll continue.
country and volleyball?
We can continue to test them. I've got test kits now. I got them in my car. I'm supposed to pick up new ones from Kim. She
Okay.
just got them in.
The Abbott test?
The rapid test, yeah, the Abbott.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we did a really good job of mitigating things last year with circumstances. I worry about doing anything more drastic than that. Mental health issues that we're starting to see come to us through, you know, summer school and stuff like that.
You know, I'm glad you touched on that because one thing I'm concerned about too, we want the school start here in a week and a half, 2 weeks. To really have our staff on high alert as well as our counseling staff with all the recent passings in our community. Watch for signs and symptoms, especially those that ain't attending school or who really seem to be withdrawn, so that we can get them assessed right away. So,
with that crisis training, that kind of covers. We're going to be doing that in.
Do you schedule like vaccinations, any kind of a schedule in school for them, kids?
Yeah, so next week we actually have your primary time for vaccinations, regular vaccinations, are kindergarten and 6th grade. So in the morning, I think it's the 9th, we're working with IHS and they're going to have a kind of a back to school situation for the kindergartners. And the vaccines are going to be right at the school. So we're going to facilitate that. And we also have to get their enrollment cards and those kinds of things photocopied. And then at the 6th grade, that's a perfect time as they transition to middle school. We'll have the nurses up there in the afternoons for the immunization. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll be doing some crisis training, actually on our in-service agenda. You'll see that. We actually have, for the first time, this is tough to get, we actually have Ms. Kropa certified now she will be by the end of the week, the intensive coursework called CPI training. And it's primarily for used for social emotional disturbance kids and kids that have maybe some physical, reactions, and how you can restrain them if you need to without causing any harm and things like that. So we'll be training our full staff in that. It's expensive to get the training, but she's only allowed to train our staff. Only the people that funded the training is the only people she can train. So you can't like piggyback off another school district and ask them to come train you. You have to have a person in your building trained.
What was the staff's name?
It's called CPI, and it's Mrs. Kropa, the new principal,
Oh,
who's got a special education background too. So we felt like that was the best person to send to the training.
fabulous.
So
Real quick, Lance, are we in concurrence for me to okay to sign this then for the special ed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a couple other things in here to consider. One is I wanted to point out to you,
I don't mean to be rude, but there actually needs to be a board motion to sign that
Okay.
according to the BIE.
We will.
Entertain a motion, I'll authorize to sign that. A motion by Marv, second by Stephanie, any discussion, anyone? Nope. Call for the vote, Donovan? Four. Seth?
Four.
Marv? Four, one absent.
I have one more contract to consider in here, and this is, and I apologize, I should have brought this to you last month. It's for a speech language pathologist services. This is under my consulting company. I did a spreadsheet on the front of that though, for like what we can compare it to. So as you can see, Crazy Horse, which is similar in size, that's what they're paying. And then you see at the bottom what we're paying, you'll see what other PAs are getting per hour, surrounding areas. The unfortunate part, it's amazing, we almost lost a social studies teacher last week, thank goodness we retained him. But, he was getting offered a contract at Pure Riggs, and Dakota Valley has an opening, and Beersford has openings. I mean, you'd have social studies teachers 10 deep in line. So like with the SLP is the same thing. You can see there's we're fortunate. We've got a good SLPA, that's full-time employee here. And then we have our SLP come in on a contracted basis. So I put this, and one thing to point out in this contract, I made it 11 months instead of 12. Because I would like to have it aligned with my other contract I have for administrative services. So if you approve it, then we can consider the next time around, if you want to not approve or approve my administrative contract, we can approve or not approve this at the same time. They kind of fall more in the line.
This is through your consulting company. You're retaining the speech language pathologist. What is?
Her name is Tina Pulowski. She's works with Vera Health out of Miller, and she works with a company works with I'm trying to think of the name, out of Huron. And so when we went to this contract, this is I think it'd be the fourth year of this contract. We had not had, because we were not paying the bill with the other provider, they refused services in our summer school for 2 years in a row. And then that's why I brought this contract to the tribe. And I know this person, I know they're gonna fulfill the contract. I'm gonna fulfill paying her on time. And then I'll just work with the tribe on the payment. So that's worked well for 4 years. We took a 3% increase 2 years ago. This contract's the same amount monetarily as it was last year.
Okay, so entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Cody, second by Donovan, any discussion? Not, call for the vote, Donovan? Stephanie, I'm sorry. Marvin? 4. Cody, motion carries 4-4, one absent.
And then the final thing would be just an update on Shakopee. You can see the report I'm submitting to them showing that what we've done with the money. When we get done with this light installation, we're gonna have roughly about $37,000 remaining in those funds if we get the $54,000 from them. I've started to get bids on irrigation for the football field. And so I think we could use that funds if you think appropriate for that. It would kind of finish off that project a little bit. I can bring them for consideration later, but just an idea that might be a way to spend. It was kind of a sports facility kind of upgrade. It might take care of those needs. So that's all I have, unless you have questions for Mr. Moeller or myself.
Did you guys cover this? It's from, that Becky Reinhardt out of Golden West, Lance. What she's doing is, this is a letter requesting permission for Golden West to place fiber optic cable to the Lowbro High School. At Lance Whitty's request. I've also included a map. It says that, Lance has requested the communication fiber. Then we initially upgraded the Lowbro community fiber. Lance did not at that time want the services. Now it sounds like school does.
Yeah, so that is because of our alarm system and our fire systems. And so in order to get, I think this came about 2 months ago, they wanted to know if they could dig fiber into the back of the building to support those systems. And I agreed that they should have that done at that time. Earlier than that, we did not need it for any reason because we already had a line going over from the admin building over to the high school. There's a fiber line that runs across there, but this is more for safety and security. So it would be an additional line, and they said they would dig it in for no cost. Yeah, we would need to have that dug in. So thank you.
Resolution for that, do we?
We better, just to be on safe side.
I'll make a motion. Are you done, Lance? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We got a motion by Cody. Second by Donovan. Should anyone? For the vote, Donovan? For. Stephanie?
For.
Marvin? For. Cody? For. Motion carries 4-4, 1 absent.
Do you want a college or you want me to, Lance?
I can take care of that if you'd like. And then just finally, our staffing is pretty much in order. We got one position that's kind of a part-time position open yet, if we can fill it. We have, I think, 1 more or 2 more interviews for paraprofessionals this week. And we'll be, I think, in full with our staff, which in this day and age, I'm very, very happy with. And a challenge.
Imagine.
How much do you pay your paraprofessionals?
We pay 2 rates. We pay if they're certified initially, we pay $15 an hour. And if they're not certified but going to work on that, they get $14 an hour.
They're full-time,
They're full-time.
benefits and everything?
Benefits and everything, yeah. And our teacher base right now is 41.5.
41.5?
Yeah.
And they have the option to prorate.
And then the good thing with our paras, I think fortunately, we've been able to fund summer school the last couple of years. So this year for summer school, they have 6-hour days. We paid 4 days a week. We pay $16 an hour for our support staff positions like paras. We pay $26 an hour for teachers. And so sometimes with our teachers, as they transition in from their college setting to their school year coming up, we offer that to our new teachers so that they can come in and work with our kids ahead of time and then get their rooms arranged and things like that. So it works out well. It's a good perk for them.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Lance.
Thanks, Lance. Thank you, Mr. Logan. Hi, Brian.
Hello, everybody. I was here to answer any questions related to the special ed budget, as well as to, you asked last time I was here to put something in writing, so you should have a handout that looks like this, that talks about the transfer of the higher education position underneath the 638 TA contract. That includes a justification, pros, and one con I could come up with, and then a note. You guys are busy, so I don't know if you had actually time to look at it.
He wants to block the chalupa, so that way no lies between us.
So with this, this would just be Raquel's program, just transferred over.
Right, what it does is it allows you guys access to a program that currently has a carryover balance and takes the majority of that position's salary out of indirect cost. Now, there is a recommendation to keep 20%, because even when the Bureau ran it, when Dan ran it, when Red Olson, I think some of you guys know him, when he had that position, we couldn't pay for it with they had to get separate funding for higher ed. So that's why there's still the recommendation to keep 20%. But otherwise, it's, in my opinion, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be making the recommendation to the tribe's advantage. So it helps you financially as well as ensures that there's representation. And then there's a list of some other activities that we'll be pursuing, one of them being the JOM. I know Wood Lyman, Stephanie responded to that. We'll be doing that over the next 2 years, because BIE will be expanding the funding for JOM over the next 2 years, or Congress has expanded the funding so that BIE can enlarge programs. And that funding will be driven by count, kind of like ISEP is generated. So the addition of Lyman kids, or our kids that go to Lyman, will increase the funding that the tribe receives so that we can then support them. Excuse me, so you can then support them.
So is our JOM different than Fort Thompson's JOM?
The process is the same.
But are they separate pools of money?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
There's like a moratorium on JOM right now.
What's happened with JOM is, I know the date they did the count, but they did a count a number of years ago, and the funding has been based on that count ever since. So there's been, although they're expected to report, and we have reported the last 2 years, because I've done both those reports, I can't speak to what was done before that. But the amount of funding didn't change based on the numbers, and they're changing the process. Well, technically, a year from now, because we've actually started our first fiscal, we're at the last fiscal. So that count's very important. And the problem you've had before, the majority of the money for JOM went to the Head Start to support those kids, because they were the only kids that were eligible. And that's what drove the count. Now, again, we have the opportunity to expand.
My personal take, it looks like a good deal. Your thoughts, Mr. Russ?
Yeah, that's probably where that office should be anyway.
Still having a lot of problems, Lance, with people learning the new numbers?
Yeah, it's kind of, they think about what's always been. We keep pushing it out there, like, every time I go live, I always remind them.
I know, I need to change the numbers on my phone, I haven't did it yet. 5510 and 5382 are still locked in my phone, so.
I think a lot of us have already moved to cell phone usage most of the time.
How much is that about? Is that impact aid? Is it still about the same as it was for years, or?
Other than the fact that Congress has increased, a certain percentage, I can't tell you the actual amount. If you want me to research that, I can do that for you though, Cody.
That's based on a number of students attending?
It's based on students attending, and there is a process to do that, which Raquel would then take that over or help. In the past, Dan did it with Jan Browse. You have to identify all the kids that go to Lyman County, and we have an MOU with Lyman County that allows us to recoup the cost for those kids that go to Lower Brule but are not ISEP eligible. This year there were only 2 kids from what I believe Lance said.
So who's eligible for JOM then?
JOM would be once the rules are officially changed, it's any child who is an enrolled tribal member or eligible to be an enrolled tribal member who does not attend a bureau-funded school. Now, we are working as the tribal ed directors to change that, because you may remember when Lower Brule used to get JOM funds. But somewhere along the way, they changed the rules because they said if you get federal dollars, you can't get JOM, but impact aid funds are federal dollars. It's the position that I took with.
It used to be headquartered out of Head Start?
I beg your pardon?
Did it used to be headquartered out of Head Start, the Johnson O'Malley Fund?
The funds currently go to the Head Start because those are the only kids that are eligible in Lower Brule. For whatever reason, I don't know the reason why, Lyman County did not participate in JOM. That's one of the goals that we have for the future, is to bring them in once the count's driven by all the kids that are counted, not just that old count that was done a number of years ago. And that's one of the things we'll be working with their Lyman County School Board over the next 2 years to get that in place. Hopefully, I mean, they have to vote just like you guys do.
If we wanted them to cooperate with us, they would do the count and then get funding for it?
We would help them, or our office would help do the count, yes, and the money would come to the tribe, and then the tribe would give the money to them based upon the count, yes.
Do we give it to Chamberlain?
No, Crow Creek gives it to Chamberlain. And there is a process. They have to do a plan. They have to work with you as the council and/or community representatives to say how they're going to use the JOM funds, how they're going to serve the kids that go there. But we don't do that now because they don't get funding right now.
I don't really see, everything looks pretty good, Mr. Shad. I don't see nothing wrong with it. The only thing that we worry about is the control of the program and then its monies. And I don't see any of that here.
And no, it's a lateral move. We are both, I'm a contracted employee for you folks, but this position would continue to be 100% a tribal employee.
You agree with that, Lance? I'll make a motion.
Okay, still waiting for Marvin.
Is this position your position or Raquel's position?
I beg your pardon?
Is this position your position or Raquel's position?
Okay.
Raquel's.
Okay. So it wouldn't change any of her benefits that she currently
No.
has? Absolutely
No.
nothing?
All it does is it allows the tribe to access funds that currently are carried over and should be funded for as long as the BIE exists, which I assume they'll be around for longer than all of us.
On wood, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you talk to there.
One more thing to mention that I forgot to mention earlier is we did work through the state. Brian actually set this up with the Department of Ed, but we were the pilot school for the getting the cans, child and adult nutrition stuff set up for a lot of our families qualified for EBT through the free and reduced lunch. So I don't know what they received necessarily, but a lot of the families got some benefits last week or the week before. That I've heard it was generous.
Oh, it's nice.
We got everyone in our SMR 100% through the commodities office. Everybody should have funds for their kids.
Nice.
I want to say it was like $1,300 per child,
Wow.
but
On their EBT card?
yeah, on their EBT card. So it wasn't by family, it was by child. The state did it, but then the other tribal ed directors and myself played a role in helping the schools make sure that we got everything in. And Crow Creek and Lower Brule, obviously Lower Brule is the one we care about right now, is we were first ones, we were actually a pilot.
Did we ever remember when, Brian, you requested the state of South Dakota to give
The $500,
our give funding, since they used our numbers to get some of those COVID monies? And we asked for some money because they used their numbers, whatever came about of that.
it never got out of the legislature. We talked about that last month when we met with the Secretary of Education, and they said it was not allowed. It must have been through the state finance, because federally there was no.
That the state said it's not allowed?
Yeah, the Secretary of Education when we met with last month. but it did not get approved. We actually spent quite a while talking about that with her and the state.
There's no recourse that we can do.
No, not that, well, you guys can do anything that, you want. You can always sue whether you'll win or not, I don't know. But
The new government.
Got a motion by Cody, who was the seconder?
Our second.
Donovan, to approve the transfer of this position.
I read it.
and that's all I have, unless there's any questions you folks have.
Oh, thank you guys for doing
Thank you,
that
Rick.
for the
Did we vote on it?
the problem. I mean, the canned stuff. That's a good deal, so. No,
Oh, I thought you did vote, I'm sorry.
second, no discussion? Call for the vote, Donovan.
Four.
Marv?
Four.
Cody? 4, 1 absent.
And now that you've approved this, we'll work on a job description, get that to you. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So with that being said then, so will that mean she'll be giving a monthly update to the council or sending it up with you guys on the higher ed stuff?
Whatever you folks want done is what we will.
I think that'd be good. That way we know how many applied for higher ed, if there's shortfalls or any other updates, so.
I mean, the biggest issue we have is the government, the BIE giving us the money in the first place, or BIA.
For holding it for so long.
Yeah.
I wish we could do something about that, besides we complain to them about 4 or 5 times a year, still don't do any good.
Well, what we do now, we have a monthly tribal ed directors meeting, which that's what, Dan kept our educational consultant, but that's basically the role I'm fulfilling. And the BIE now has a representative, Spike Bighorn is his name. And he is on there for the 638 contracting process. Now, that only relates to education, but we voice concerns and address it every month. And that's all of the tribes in North Dakota, Nebraska, and of course, South Dakota that speak there. And we have gotten some of the education funds. It's my understanding you got the higher ed funds. And I know we got the infant.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. It finally came in.
When?
A day late, $1 short, geez.
Yeah, really late.
Or something?
And that's our complaint.
Yeah.
Now, you'll remember that you folks last year, and that is in the process of being changed, or hopefully changed, you passed tribal resolutions to make that forward funded money. Because that's one of the issues. It's not forward funded at the current time. It's funded when the president signs the new budget, or the Congress approves the new budget and the president signs it. In the past, that money was not allocated until the budget was signed. Well, you folks passed a resolution, as did every tribe in the state, to make that money forward funded. And Representative Johnson, is working right now to try and get that done for all of Indian country, not just for us, but your resolution as well as the other resolutions.
Raquel she has to call all those colleges, and say, hold on, keep our students in there, the money will be coming. And it still don't come for 2-3 months, and then she says.
And then the other thing that happened too, I guess, is we had the meeting with Director Dearman and Assistant Secretary of the Department of Interior about background checks. And there's, in that conversation, we requested that Lower Brule be held harmless, because it was not our fault that BIE wouldn't come out and do its job. And it was being taken under consideration was basically their answer. And the recommendation was acknowledged and appreciated. So that may come, because we've received
Other
a
tribes
letter.
are reprimanded as well.
Yeah.
For the same thing, and they actually even tried to send in stuff through this electronic portal they had, and it didn't work. And so they got reprimand letters as well.
And right now, you folks, I believe, are part of a possible lawsuit against the BIE, or at least are in conversation with that. But there are other tribes in this state that are going to take action if the Bureau and
Yeah, and
not do
I
something.
remember when I signed off on that letter, so we have good documentation to back up our case, so.
Did we put the language in there about
Yes, we did.
higher
Thank
ed?
you.
Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Chris?
Go this way.
you doing, Chris?
Good. I'm gonna make copies of everything. Cause I've been busy all day, but
Cool.
the least that I'll talk about. I can say one for myself. But okay. The website just kind of stays the same. Jobs get posted as I get them from personnel. And any information that comes from other departments, I'll post. YouTube, the last meeting's on there. This meeting might take a little bit longer as Doc's in England. So this probably won't be up right away like the other one was. We still keep getting apps for the ARF distribution, and I give them the finance. And I've kind of been directing a lot of the questions to finance as to where checks are and things like that, because I just don't have the time to go and look for each individual check at the moment. Summer youth program. Right now we have 50 adults working and 30 youth. So yeah, they've been working. They got a lot of the trash picked up yesterday. Had them start mowing some of the elders' lawns today and cleaning up their yards for them.
Did they ask you about the Episcopal Cemetery?
They did not.
Yeah, they're asking if that could be mowed.
Episcopal Cemetery?
Yeah, the one down here.
Oh,
Did you get some of those riders, repaired, Chris?
Mary Jane was supposed to have been ordering parts for those. Cause she had said that probably like a month ago when her crew was using them. She was gonna order the parts. She told me on Monday they should be here by the end of this week, if not next week. I do have to go into Baumgart's and get some of that, remember the string for
There's
For the rotor?
weed eaters.
the weed eaters, yeah. They have some of that at Baumgart's, so I have to go in and get some of that. And then I will let one of the crews know after this to go and start on the Episcopal Cemetery. I do need, I remember last month it came and asked for resolutions, or that I come back and ask for resolutions for two of my grants. The public access grant, which were just realistically just taking all of like the past minutes and resolutions and the old tapes from the council meetings, and curating like a digital archive where people could come into the office and say, I want to know what happened in 1986 at this meeting. And we could pull all that information up for them and give it to them. And through that grant, we're not really funding any real personnel besides 2 interns. But yeah, ask for council support on that.
So you want a resolution for that?
Yeah.
So you're going to, you want permission to write for the grant?
No, the grant's already, it's ready to submit. I just need the resolution from the tribe
Oh, okay.
of support.
Wait for Ursula to get back so she can record this. In the meantime, go ahead, continue on. Do you have some still?
Oh, about the access grant?
No,
Um,
or the other,
Oh, the other one's a tourism grant. And that's just looking at some of our, like some of the things they used in the past, like the Earth Lodge, some of the new developments that are gonna happen to see how feasible they are to really utilize for tourism moving forward. So that's all that is a feasibility grant. And ask for a resolution on that one as well.
I guess my question is, why do you need a tribal resolution to go after a grant?
You need them when you support to Cause you need
Okay,
the
for a letter of support, is what
governing,
you're asking.
yeah, that's what I'm
Okay,
asking
there you
for.
go.
Cause you need the governing body to give that support.
Okay. Well, can I make the motion to write a letter of support for these 2 grants?
Yeah, we waiting for Ursula.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were.
Plus Cody here is because you need 5 for a quorum, but while we're waiting, and I didn't want to stop you from your things, you still got 2 more bullets, but, as public information officer for the tribe, your other job is cultural resources. What I like to see, and was brought up in a meeting with us yesterday, that, tribe, there's a lot of good happened here this spring and summer before.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing, what we're dealing with right now in the community with all of the sudden deaths and stuff. But on the bright side of things, if you can get with Deb Ruiz, her Central Dakota Times,
Yeah.
and put some pictures in of the community, like the shoreline restoration project, the cleanup of the old building sites, the water hydrant updates and replacements that are happening. And that's just one of them, because once they finish down there, they're gonna move up to West Brule. Also, maybe a little piece on the BIA 10 road construction project. You can get with, I'll forward TJ, or I think you have TJ Gallagher's information, don't you? Are you on those?
I'm not.
10 project, I'll forward his information on to you. Maybe a little segment about that, so then you can get with EPO on those cleanup projects they did, rural water with the water hydrant replacements and updates. Joel Bish on the shoreline restoration. And then also we can get some pictures up on the tribal website of some of the good things happening.
Okay.
Just to, get our tribe back out there in a good way,
Yeah.
It's unfortunate a lot of the times that our tribes are in the news, it's not good news, and that gives people's perception of us without really knowing what's going on in this community and all the good things that are happening on top of that,
Yeah.
I think that'll help our tribe immensely to show, we're on the right track, and what additional revenue sources would do to help our tribe to further fund ongoing projects or other ideas we have to improve our community and the quality of life.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I know you got a lot on your plate right now with powwow and everything else, so, whatever needs to be dealt with after things kind of settle down a little bit. That's really, I think that'd really be good. And something else I can't remember. Oh, I know what it is. Also want you to research, I just seen the one where we have some relatives, hey Stuart, over in Canton that are buried there. So really work with Doc when he gets back, reaching out to all these boarding schools and other places where some of our relatives might be buried at.
I know Doc was working before he left with Christy Wolf on some of that. I'll see if he's got anything else on it.
Yeah, and then I think that's something the tribe needs to start looking at, is bringing our relatives home and contacting their families if there's still any of their family around, and where we would re-bury or re-put these people back to rest, and I know it's a tough deal because of the fact, somebody's been gone that long, and you're disturbing that site. It's a really touchy, sensitive issue. But that's something I'd like our tribe to get involved with and bring our relatives home for their final resting place so they can be at peace, and bring a little peace back to those families, their descendants that are still alive.
Okay.
So just on that note, there is a cemetery out by the Jude Ranch in Oklahoma. It has some of our relatives out there. Do you do anything with that? Have you mowed out
I've
there? Or?
been there probably once since I started. Doc took me over there along with Mary Jane and Sheldon. But I could see if maybe, because Attorney usually will mow over at the school, Trish. So I don't know if she'd be willing to go over and mow that too, or our youth crew to go over there or something.
Yeah, because I know Doc's philosophy sometimes is to not draw attention, because some of it's pretty old graves, and so I was just interested because I know that's out there. And
Ursula, you stepped out, now Cody stepped out. We need to pass 2 resolutions, one for an access grant for cultural department and the other one for a tourism grant. You can work with Chris on that verbiage, but wait for Cody to come back so we can do the vote to pass these.
Let me just like go down the list how he comes back. Okay, so the elder committee, a lot of female interests, not a lot of males. The only 2 males I've heard back from in the community are Dwayne and Red. I've not heard from anybody else on the males. I even asked some of the, like Janice and them, if they knew anyone to have them come see me, or, you know, even to put their name down.
What's the age, 55 and older?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where that's at right now.
Have you had a meeting yet?
I'm not. I just have not had time to sit down and actually plan a meeting for it.
Anything on the youth committee?
Youth committee, that one was, Joshua was gonna, I think when the school year starts, him and they were gonna get their natural helper come together. And then we're gonna start planning from there too.
I think if you get the elders, they just want to meet with the council, I mean, not in the actual council meeting, but just want to meet with us.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea to sit down and listen to them. With the youth committee too, so.
Yeah. Like I said, when Doc's here, it's a little bit easier on the cultural resource side. He can take some of that stuff. When he's not here, as full as my plate is, it's hard to kind of lean over to one side. A couple weeks ago now, we had the wastewater treatment plant meeting with rural development. Just answer some more questions and see how we submit the amendment to the preliminary engineering report. That went really well. I can see that project hopefully moving forward soon. And then the next two, I think Cody will have to be here, because one's a request from the Powell committee to, like if the council will allow the Powell committee to select security. And then the other ones are porta pot stuff.
What was the wastewater deal?
Which part?
This under cultural resources, second bullet, wastewater treatment plant, what'd you say on that?
Oh, we had that meeting with rural development to talk about the amendment for the preliminary engineering report. As we move forward, trying to figure out how that facility will come, I guess, together. I don't know if you guys wanna look these over, try to best to put together Wheelhouse, his information as best as I could, but they didn't really give me much to work with.
Oh, these are for the bids for the porta potties?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
The ones, Trish told me to ask me to write it like that because Guess just straight up said they didn't want to put one in. So.
They never get asked, they never get picked anyway.
Yeah, those are their exact words. They didn't want to put a bid in because they don't get picked anyway. So.
So lower their price then.
And I asked for Wheelhouse to do more of a like invoice or quote style one, but they never got back to me either. So the only one that was kind of put together was Adams.
That's a total of $9,000.
Yeah.
So they must pay that every year, right? Because every year we have porta potties.
Yeah. That's what's paid every year to A1 sanitation.
So that's just renting them, right? I mean, you can buy them by
But,
I think I got the same ones as you.
Yeah.
So Adam didn't put a bid in?
yeah,
He did?
he did. Adam, that's that one that's put together than the rest.
No, there's not one here. There's just Wheelhouse.
Oh, this?
The front one, yeah.
Oh, with no name?
It says it on the bottom, Adam Moran.
Oh, okay. What is the name of his business?
Oh, nice.
It's through his dad and it's A1 Sanitation.
A1?
Yep.
Is he no, he's not a tribal member, is he?
No,
No.
tribal employee.
Tribal employee, lived here since 1986.
And an enrolled tribal member somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Is it Trenton?
3 affiliated.
yeah. 3 affiliated. I think,
No, I
no,
think it's.
no, he's Turtle Mountain.
Turtle Mountain.
Is it? I thought it was
Chippewa.
affiliated.
Because they grew up in Trenton, North Dakota, which
Yeah.
is about hour and a half away from.
Well, the good thing about Adam is, and not to knock on the other guys, that just, I've never heard a complaint about his porta potties, so. Although I'm not a porta potty specialist.
Yeah. And then I got word from Quentin earlier about, I think it's New Trends or Spotted Feather, I think their organization is called. I just got the number earlier for like extra sanitizer and wipes for the powwow. We just gotta call them and order them, and we just gotta pay the shipping fee for them. So I just gotta call that guy after this. But.
Real quick before you get to that, Mr. Russ, we need entertain a motion to submit for the access grant for the cultural resource program. Anybody? Got a motion by Marvin, second by Steph? Yeah. Any discussion out of it? Stephanie? Marvin? Cody? Call for the vote, Donovan?
Four.
Marv? Four. Cody? Four. Motion carries 4-4, 1 absent. Also need a separate resolution to apply so he can submit his tourism grants. Entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Got a motion by Stephanie, second by Cody. Any discussion, anyone?
Nope.
Call for the vote, Donovan?
Four.
Stephanie? Marvin? Four. Motion carries 4-4, 1 absent. Next one is the bid. Who is your selection then?
The committees wanted to select Adam Moran, A1 Sanitation.
Okay, entertain a motion to go with A1 sanitation. Got a motion by Stephanie, second by Donovan. Any discussion?
No.
Call for the vote, Donovan?
Four.
Stephanie? Marvin?
Four.
Go for it. Motion carries 4-4, 1 absent.
And then the committee asked if the council would allow them to select the security.
Ooh, say that again?
The committee requested if the council would allow the committee to select the security.
I think we can discuss that in personnel. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just real quick, Chris, the request for, I had some outside organizations who were asking about attending our powwow, and then they asked if you could provide powwow etiquette for their organization.
I'll look in this back closet to see what we have.
Yeah,
I couldn't find anything through the documents I have in my office, but
okay,
I'll look in the storage room.
Thanks, Chris.
thank you.
Hey, I have Chris, real quick. So the Powell MCs, I know like 2 years ago when Claire brought it up, I think we contracted out. You remember that for a sound system for the Powell?
So we are actually utilizing the school sound system.
Okay, for Powell?
Yeah.
And the MCs are,
Butch Felix and Whitney Rain County.
okay. Thank you. Come up to the table.
Just for email, that's good.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, greetings, Mr. Chairman,
Greetings.
members.
Sure.
I'm here to represent the housing in our, a request for an approval on our resolution.
Okay.
Head Start Director's out there too, Mr. Chair.
Who?
Head Start Director.
Okay. She can come in.
What are you asking for, Chris?
Need a resolution?
Yeah, we need a resolution approved by the council to apply, says it in there, but it's for an application that we're submitting to HUD for an ICDBG art grant in a amount of $1,035,000.
I have no problem with it, just the fact that, and I know you guys are somewhat of a separate entity from us in some cases, but, that we get some financial reports off of it, like, everything, like all the money spent and, personnel, supplies, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Little financial information sharing. I think that'd be good. That's my feelings on it. How the council feels.
Randy, do you have a chance to look at this at all? Housing?
These are the ones who fund Jason's program for the rehabs and all that?
Normally, yeah. The other grants NOFAs haven't come out yet. We're just waiting for them too, so. The regular ICDBG.
These are the ones that are very competitive, got tribes battling against tribes for it?
Yep, yep. Then there's, yeah. Well, then they also have an ICDBG competitive. I don't know why they put it that way, because the other one's competitive as well. Just
So it says the Lord Sioux Tribe approves the use of the fiscal management plan. Have we ever seen a fiscal management plan from housing?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Do you remember it?
Maybe finance has a copy, I don't know. Do you know if there's ever one? On the second page, on the last paragraph, it says, opted to expand our existing mini home project. What's a mini home? One bedrooms? Or duplex?
we started out thinking that way, although there is a smaller need for the ones. But we eventually went up to 2s and 3s. So,
To more meet the people's needs?
Yeah. If we did get some ones, it would be very few.
Yeah.
It also says the housing authority cited citizen participation meeting. Did you have a participation meeting?
Well, we're doing that, it's on our website. And what that entails is if you have any questions, it kind of spells out what we're kind of doing. And if you had any questions, you can do so in writing or concerns or even suggestions, So you can do so in writing and to do that in a public setting with a lot of people in that small room, That's why, you know, that, the way that we're doing it is, allowable.
What did we ever do with that money that the tribe and housing applied for at the same time? And we got it.
When I checked on it last week, it still never came in yet.
And what's that bond, was that for the tribe to spend it?
No. Remember what we talked about was probably try being the pass-through, funding the money back to them based on the needs, kind of like the ERAP program. So it's an application process.
So are you aware of that? That's going on, Stu? That money that, the housing and the tribe applied for, there's earmarked toward housing? How much was that, $900 or something?
Yeah, that's housing is a HIP program. It's more specific to mortgage rental assistance,
Or that half,
home loan assistance.
Jeannie was upset over that.
no, I don't
Anyway,
much about that.
I think as it sits, your housing director thinks that we're going to take that money and spend it, but we're not, right? We're gonna control it, but housing's gonna spend it. Is that how I understand it?
Somewhat. I think we still got to work some things out yet.
She said she closed that account or something for that money. She opened an account for that money to drop in. And since she thinks the money's not gonna drop in because we're gonna take it, the tribe, so she closed that account. Are you aware of that, or?
I've heard her mention that she had closed that account.
So what you're asking here, Stu, is to permission to apply for that $1,035,000?
Yeah, yes.
I don't see no problem with it, do you guys?
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
you know, the top page of the resolution, or the third page of the resolution, the tribe is certifying that the housing authority has met the requirement regarding citizen participation meetings. Maybe we could have this gentleman expound on that in terms of how that requirement has been met before we certify to it.
What page you at? 3?
The last page of the resolution, last page of the attachment.
Well, you said the resolution.
Certifies that the Lower Rural Housing Authority has met the requirement cited in 24 CFR, et cetera, citizen participation meeting, and consider any comments received. The tribe passes the resolution, you're certifying that the housing authority has met the requirements of that law, and I wasn't sure in what capacity they've met that.
I think he's asking you.
Oh,
You see what I'm
well, like I said, you know, it was, and what was your question again?
Well, you're asking the council to certify that the housing authority had these citizen participation meetings. And I'm just requesting that you explain to the council how you met that requirement.
I guess I thought I already did. What we did is, you know, we put it on our website, which is allowable due to the COVID and you know.
Okay.
And then we solicit any concerns or suggestions or issues that any tribal members that wanna write in writing to the housing authority. Then we just take them and
So you did consider, did you get any comments, do you know?
I don't know yet.
Okay. but you do take those comments into consideration
Oh, yeah.
when you make decisions with respect to the units that you're
Yep.
applying for. Okay. So if the council's satisfied that that has met the requirements, then you're basically then allowing the housing authority to apply for the grant and administer it in the amount of $1 million plus that's set forth in that next paragraph.
She mentioned in her statement here that she knows submitting last minute resolutions is an issue, but she said this is beyond our control. We are submitting a resolution without having certain things take place that are required, and instead of saying we already did them, which is what we normally do, we are having to say that we are going to do them and citing them. We have to do it this way because we were directed by the council not to bring resolutions last minute. With the 30-day time frame we have left, this is the only way we can do it and still get the resolution approved ahead of time. So, I mean, I still, it doesn't negate the fact that there's still some concerns with some of these things not being done. And I think that I've never seen a housing financial management plan. I've never seen or know of any citizens participation meeting. And I know that some of the issues that we have with housing is the accessibility, the equality, the inclusive nature of meetings and information and resources. So I would move to table it until we have a discussion and we can follow through with concurrence.
Yes.
Yep, I agree.
So with the deadline being, or the opening is the 5th, tomorrow?
The 4th,
Today's the 4th.
sometime either today or tomorrow, opening.
Yes,
And I'm not 100% sure on this, but it closes at by the September 3rd.
And then we just got this today, which is the 4th, and this email with this narrative was sent to us on the 2nd. So I mean, that's a really, I guess my concern is that when people bring things last minute, I question the intent is that if we don't have time to review, I don't want to make a decision on something I'm not feel fully informed about, so I'm available tomorrow.
maybe shoot for 11 because we have another meeting at 10 to bring her up. And maybe,
Yeah, we can, I had another meeting in the morning, but Jeannie might be able to come up here by then.
yeah, can you let her know 11 o'clock?
11?
Yeah.
You know, sir, does the training take place tomorrow? The narrative of the letter basically, or the email says that you get your formal notification today and then the training takes place tomorrow, August 5th.
Yep.
Is that your understanding?
Yeah, that's what it says here too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The training in terms of how to prepare the grant and get everything and what needs to be done, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
So then maybe you're looking at the 6th at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so maybe Friday or early that following week. It looks like at least initially it will conflict with the training and maybe Jeannie needs to be there at that training tomorrow as opposed to come up here.
So can we shoot for Friday at 10? Can you go back and talk to her? We can shoot for Friday at 10, this Friday.
Works for me.
Friday at 10 then.
Maybe we could have Ursula confirm it with the director that the council would further like to discuss the grant application process Friday at 10 up here with her.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah, you know, I would like to, I would like to state though, you know, this was kind of thrown on us at the last meeting. Or at the last minute. And, you know, normally we would have up to 3 months to submit one, so. You know, it's not our fault that we're trying to do this.
Thrown at you by HUD?
Yeah.
I think
Because when we were in Denver at our workshop down there, that's when we found out.
I think Friday we'll get it approved. It's just some questions we need to have for Jeannie.
Okay,
I mean, that's all we want to ask for this question. And then
all right. Am I done then?
yeah.
Yep, thank you, Stuart.
Yep.
She says she'd want today, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's do it today then. Get her
Okay.
done.
All right.
Who we got? Lisa and Vicky, you wanna come up, please? Thank you.
Start.
I tell her she can come in. Ain't no problem with her sitting here unless she's scared.
This is our stats and our financials in the second page for 2020, for the full year, yeah. And let's see what I have. I also brought the grant binder, if you need a copy of the current grant, which runs out at the end of September. We should know if we're refunded for 3 more years or not. And anything in the reports, you guys are welcome to. Just to explain a little bit on the actual, that's year to date as of May 2021. You'll see the projected versus the actual expenditures. And the actual show a negative in some line items, so she'll need to do a last minute GAN to move some money from line items we didn't use last year, like travel, because no one could travel, to line items like where we're short, salaries and fringe and insurance. So she'll be moving some of that around. But any money we don't use in the program will get sent back.
Just get that. Here's your other one. Oh, you got two, the same one.
Oh, sorry.
No. The other one.
Ever get two?
No, we just gave you one extra.
Oh, here. I
Oh,
have,
he's got one.
okay.
I gave him one. Oh, you got one from Project Safe? No,
No, that's mine. Lisa's.
I put this on John's side.
I just want to say, thank you for your time, and, I'm really appreciative of all what you guys do for the community, and, you know, I'm not here to bitch or anything, but I wanted to bring you all something, because I'm sure everybody comes and they want and they need this and that, and so anyway, I made some jelly, so, anyway.
Did you bring nephew some corn soup? No, just kidding.
Here's one for you two here. They're all sand jelly, yeah, you can take one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the record, she's not a vendor, right, Randy?
I just, I love preserving.
And it's in no way, shape, or form a bribe.
No, it's not. It's a thank you for all that you guys do. It's not an easy thing sitting behind where you guys are and the decisions you have to make, and you can't please everybody, so.
Nice.
But, so I did also send in my, yearly report for the, family violence. And I did send that in my financial report. I sent it to Ursula and I believe you.
Okay.
And,
I got it.
so,
Forwarded on.
but this report that you see in front of you is a current one to date from, I can't breathe. Anyway, it's the current one to date from January to June of 2021. You see the number of victims that we've served and those that were served from Brew County here, and then the shelter days. And then it gives last year from January to December, the number of shelters and with the women sheltered, and then the total number that we served was 140. And last year our numbers were really down, obviously because of COVID. And so, and then if you look at these reports, our numbers are starting to go up. You know, we're getting more people coming in for services and that. And so some of the COVID money that we received, we put a lot of people in the motel because our due to the COVID, and then also, gosh, our hot water heater gave out, and I swear it took like 9 months to just get somebody to come and do it. We called like 3-4 people, and they were so dang busy, and finally it got fixed a couple months ago. So, but during that time, our staff has always continued to work and provide those services. We didn't work out of our homes. We worked out of the shelter, continuing with all the safety measures in place and everything. So, but today I come to you requesting a resolution, and I know one of the I got an email last Friday from the grant manager who said I needed an updated tribal resolution that covered the year from FY21 to 23, and the last one you guys gave me was from FY18 to FY22. And so I was like, they've never asked this before. But apparently this funding kind of runs from 21 to 23, so they wanted 23 to cover. So that's what I'm here about. And she asked that it be submitted on Friday the 6th. So something that grant managers do the last minute, and this was submitted, I believe, in April. And so they're just now asking for an updated one, and so I did send Ursula the draft resolution for a new one, and which you guys have in front of you. So that is what I'm here about.
Yeah, and that's when we seen that, we're trying to make sure we weren't duplicating services with our, Restoring Hope with Pathfinder,
Project.
Yeah, and it was just kind of confusing, so that we thought, well, we gotta make sure we're not duplicating the same services.
Oh, no.
So that's what we said, well.
Yeah, we can probably answer that, Lisa and I.
Yeah.
Lisa is doing family violence, Fort Thompson, Lord Rule, meaning if you have a sister, brother, mother, daughter, grandmother, like that. We cannot touch those services. We can't even transport them. We could lose our grant.
Yeah.
Our grant covers sexual assault, domestic violence, meaning intimate partners, whether they be same-sex partners, dating violence, stalking, and sex trafficking. We can do those things here for this service area. But Lisa can cover both service areas for the family violence.
And the other thing is that let's be clear here, is that The thing is, you know, if somebody doesn't wanna go to Restoring Hope, they come to us. Just like if somebody doesn't wanna go to Project Safe, they come to Restoring Hope or they go to Chamberlain. So it's not duplication of services, it's, you know, they have a choice of where they want to go. And also the other thing that I believe Vicky's grant doesn't cover is, it doesn't cover, rent and deposits, right?
No.
Yeah,
You have the NDS grant for that, right?
So we provide, the rent and deposits for people that she may be serving, but she refer us to pay for that.
So like we have a client who's ready to move into their own place, we've got them housing, we've located it, we can do certain things, but we cannot do rent and deposits. She's got a grant that can do that, so she can count that service and that new victim, and I just don't count the part of the housing, rent and deposits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's providing a completely different service than what I'm providing.
Right.
But we both can do follow-up services to that same client, right? Because we've done services for different parts of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys do work together?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, even with Chamberlain.
Are bouncing back and forth
Yeah.
between reservations?
They could be over here 1 minute and then be back and forth 1 minute, and we have a lot of intermarriages back and forth. And we also do you work with Chamberlain quite a bit still? Or no? I do, still, and Pierre. They have 2 new people.
Yeah, we work with Chamberlain is kind of a different thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, we work with the other ones and that. But yeah, we do a lot of referral and stuff if we don't have you know, the space. So we do a lot of referral, giving information and that to a lot of the victims and stuff, so.
Well, I know like the State Housing Authority, the SDHA, asked me actually to get a hold of one day because they wanted to make sure the native shelters were actually getting some of these benefits that were coming in as far as new housing vouchers, that our people were sheltering, have that opportunity for these housing vouchers. So it's not a duplicated service because we're referring them out.
So do you service just women and children, or is men too?
No, if you look at the stats, we actually, in 2020, we have 2 males that we service. And there are some people with disabilities in there. We did 5 sexual assaults. And I'm really good about documenting, because sometimes when we have new staff or other staff, I have to go back and recheck the service logs to make sure everything's captured. And I can only go back so far. Otherwise, if I don't know, I can't document it because that's falsifying records. You can't do that. So I'm always having to say, make sure you got your documentation in. And I did work for Lisa, and she knows I'm pretty good about documentation.
And so I was gonna ask this question to both of you, and not asking for client names or anything, but since January of 21 to where we are now, we've just closed out 6 months, you know, 7 with July. Are we seeing an increase in sexual assault, domestic violence compared to?
20.
Yes, where we were at with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, like you can see in these, numbers. So right now from January to June, we're up to 65 victims so far served. And and that's the total on top there is just the adults, that's not the children as well. So we are seeing, especially July was very busy for us, so we are seeing an increase in that, and a lot of victims reaching out and that. So yeah, I think that, and our sexual assaults especially. So I didn't break them out as far as the number of types of victims, because I kind of ran through this one together, so all the victims are lumped together and stuff, so.
Do you tie those stats to when you interview your clients to mostly related to alcohol and drugs?
No, we don't. I mean, like, if a victim comes in, you mean, do we document whether they were on alcohol or drugs?
Yeah, I mean, just if that incident occurred, you know, due to increased drug use or alcohol use.
Well,
situation?
no, I mean, we don't document that stuff. I mean, okay, for instance, I mean, we document the incident that happened, or like, you know, whether they're, fear of their life, why are they coming into shelter? But if it involves law enforcement, then, you know, they come and they take the, you know, the interview, and document that. But it just depends on the client, what information they want to give us, if they want the involvement of law enforcement or not. We can't force them to. That's just something that is in the grants, that you can't force someone to get, you know, call the police or anything like that. So, does that answer your question? Right.
Well, I kind of do ours a little bit different because we have the SOARS program, which is a database program that's purchased with this grant. And in it is like a longer intake, and part of it is like when you're identifying their needs, they're telling you what they need. And one of the questions, do you need any help with chemical dependency or alcohol addiction? 95% of the people I've served, or the staff has served, have been affected by meth. I'm telling you, whether it's a female or a male, 95% are affected by meth, and they say, I need help. And what I'm seeing is maybe not so many more people reaching out, because the numbers fluctuate so much depending on whether there's money in town or not. It's the come down. They get the most assaults happen when there is no meth in town. And I've been noticing this trend since I worked at Wachoni. I brought it to Lisa and Casey's to their attention. And when I helped the tribe write that grant for $350, that grant is to study some of this stuff, to do surveys, community contact, to see what the community needs, to get focus groups started. It would have provided 3 full-time employees at good rates and developed these committees and paid gift certificates and stuff to do this. But as far as I know, it's never been utilized. Now, I tried to reach out to, she works in finance. She's, what's her name? Her mom is, her dad's John McCauley, and her mom. Sonia. Okay, Sonia was a contact person. And so when I finally did get a hold of her, because the money wasn't drawn down, she said, oh, they want a new narrative. So I wrote the new narrative, but they had sent that email to her like 2 months before that, and she didn't tell me that she needed a new narrative based around the new dollar amount. So I really quick, Carmen and I worked it out. She did the budget and I did the narrative. But that's what needs to happen on both reservations, because the victimization's changing. Lisa can probably say this. It's way more violent. I don't know if you guys can still do it. We can't go to site. We cannot go to the homes anymore. We have to meet in a public place, because you just don't know if they have a knife or what's happening. You're just clueless. And dispatch is kind of confused about who provides what services. And I'm just really careful to say, I'm sorry, but we can't do family violence. Here's Wachoni's number, you know, call them. And a lot of people here know Wachoni's number. And for a while there, when they were calling the office, they were actually getting Wachoni's hotline, because our office number is 473-2471, and their hotline is 730-2471, which kind of gets confusing. So we probably need to do something different with the, you know, on-call numbers and the office numbers, so that we don't have such similar numbers, so they know who they're calling. But the level of violence, the increase in violence, it's scary.
I think the biggest problem is finding, so when you're working with them to get into treatment, that's the biggest thing is it's waiting for the treatment date. You know, we gotta find a solution, like when they want to detox, is finding a detox place right away. Because once you get them wanting to, you gotta do it now and not wait a month or two. By then, they've left shelter or they went back to doing that. And so it's really hard to work that. I mean, we've worked with a few that, you know, had to wait on getting into, luckily they were patient enough and stuff, but yeah, the meth thing is just a big issue, and, you know, and we're seeing a lot more you know, of the drug dealers using that to lure the young girls, you know, and get them addicted, so that way they end up, you know, going into trafficking and stuff. And I mean, like, I don't know, it's just getting really, really bad. And
You know, and I'm glad you brought that up because, and I'll be honest here, lived here most of my life. The scariest part is wanting this community to step up. Whether it's family, friend, relative, coworker or not, step up and make that call that they're doing wrong, that they're killing our own people. That's the scariest part for me because I don't see enough of that happening. And I'm not calling my fellow trouble members out.
Right.
I'm calling it as I see it, as I live through it daily. Today, coming back from the store for lunch, young girl walked down the middle of the road, waved me down. I figured there's a domestic violence issue going on. I took her down to Restore and Hope, pull in. She wouldn't get out the truck, would refuse the service before I could even make the call. No shoes on, intoxicated, possibly on drugs. So I was messaging Chief, hey, she wants me to drop her off at the red store. She's going on and on. And I was like, I just want to make sure you're safe. We've had a lot of deaths here recently. You're a young lady, you're intoxicated. She got mad at me because I wouldn't give her a hug. I was like, no, you don't have a mask on. I don't know if you have the virus. I don't know you. Well, you're the chairman. Because she asked me who I was. I had to take my sunglasses off so she could identify me. Then I started getting worried because I didn't have my dash cam on to spin around to protect myself in case this woman, young lady, under the influence. My first thought was get her help, get her somewhere safe. The sad fact is when I asked her who was she over here with, she said number 4. The guy's name is number 4. I don't know if that's boyfriend number 4 or this is this guy's code name. Middle of daylight, like I said, walked out in the middle of the road to wave me down. There was a male with her. He jumped in, got another ride to the vehicle. So I pulled in here because I told her I was only going as far as the tribal center and I'd give her a ride this far. But she would not get out the truck. You know, I was just trying to make sure she just stay safe. But that still bothers me. This is what, 2 hours ago now.
yeah,
And so I waited down there with her until then I don't know if she sensed that I was messaging Chief to get down here. I said, somebody needs to get this lady. And so the other officer rolls up. By that time, she takes off out of the truck, starts walking down the road, staggering down the road in front of the high school. Traffic going both ways. Thank God the officer showed up. So when I left, she was talking with that female. But that's very concerning. And, you know, I really want to pray and hope that we get into the schools this year, start visiting with these young females and these young males about the dangers, the reality of life as we know it now on the reservation. Stranger danger, you know, I mean, we really need to start educating these kids. And, you know, we got the women in men's homeless shelters now. We're still looking for a female caretaker for the women's shelter. I've been spending a lot of time over there trying to get them ready, picking up supplies. I'm still dragging butt, and I'm asking my Secretary of Treasury to put pressure on finance to get that camera system ordered because we have to protect those who are using that shelter and protect those in the shelter and the tribe from anything. That's why we have separate living quarters, one for men, one for women. And we're not getting the success we had hoped out of it by getting people to stay in those facilities because they don't want to follow the rules simply. They don't want to sign a simple rules agreement to stay there. And we're not even drug testing them.
Yeah.
Trying to get them off the streets, trying to get them healthy, trying to get them back on their feet to get them back to a healthy lifestyle. And I'm really struggling to get people in there. I try to make many posts as I can about it because I do care. I've been homeless before. I know that feeling. And right now with all these bad things happening, you know, these people need help and trying to get them to those places. So maybe you guys can follow with Chief later on that young female. Like I said, she's from across the river. I knew her mom. Very concerning though. Like I said, I don't know who Mr. Number 4 is. And I couldn't identify the individual because he jumped in a truck. But my guess it was a domestic one. And she had like grass all over her socks and bruises on her legs. You know, very, very disturbing. Like I said, middle of the day too, 12 o'clock, 12:30, whatever it was.
I think what helps is when the victims realize we're not out there to arrest them or turn them in, you know, it's all volunteer services. Once they know we're on we're trying to get them help, anything they need, then they start opening up. They share more. They're not gonna share at that first interaction.
Not only that, she, like I said, she was intoxicated, possibly on influence of drugs, so what state of mind she was in, you know, that's why I said I had to get her somewhere.
What would be nice too is, Casey's having a meet and greet. Do you know what date is that?
No, we didn't set it, did you, Malia?
Yeah,
I was hoping you'd be here.
Yeah, Casey sent out an email to, law enforcement and, to Vicky and some of the other staff. Every year we used to have a meet and greet for law enforcement, to, you know, because we have a turnover in law enforcement officers and to come, we would provide like 8 a.m. in the morning, we would do breakfast for them. And then they would come and they'd eat. So it was like a change in shift. So then they could come over and they'd meet the staff, everybody, get to know each other and that, and, you know, put the names to the faces kind of thing. And then just share information about, like, okay, if they have any information or if they have questions about the shelter, what services, they can ask those. Or we can ask them, you know, if anything changed on their site, whatever it is and stuff, and it's really helpful. So we did, so we were just waiting for a response from Yuma and, the other chief of police to see, you know, what dates would work for them and that. So, and then also trying to get the local or sheriff's department to come as well and that, so they know about, you know, our services and stuff. And I don't know who the sheriff is on this guy, it's for
Banger, yeah.
Okay, so maybe, yeah, if we can get a hold of him, but yeah, yeah, it's getting scarier and scarier, 'cause Mother's Day, back in May, I was driving back from Oklahoma and while I was coming through Reliance, and I seen a van, the guy standing outside. It was between Reliance and the Lorebro turnoff, the first one, and this guy standing out there waving in the van. So I was like slowing down. I was like, well, you know, it's one guy, I'll see what he. And when I almost came to a stop, 2 other guys stepped out and they were Mexicans. And I was like, hell no, I stepped on it. And I was like, I ain't stopping for these guys. And I just kept going. And anyway, I posted on Facebook, and then that following week, one of the former staff, she posted that her daughter was walking down the east, and these 2 Mexican guys in the van kept asking her if she wanted to ride. And the third time she finally she said no, and she called somebody, and then she called it in to law enforcement, and the dispatch told her, you're the second person that called that these guys in the van tried to give her a ride to. So by the time law enforcement, they were gone, and this is like in broad daylight, like 2:30 in the afternoon, and you know, and so you know, we have these guys coming, you know, on our reservations, broad daylight, you know, trying to lure our young girls and that, and, you know, with no kind of, you know, I mean, I think one of the things is they think they can, you know, just come here and, you know, if they see, because there's been a lot of awareness and out there on MMIW, you know, and the whole jurisdiction issue and stuff that people, you know, have been testifying to and stuff. And it's a good thing, you know, that Congress is aware of all that and they provide this money. But yeah, it makes me leery, because then you have all these other guys out there that like, hey, no jurisdiction issue, hey, they can't arrest us and stuff, and, you know, and local sheriff is, you know, one-man band usually, and then, you know, with the feds and who is, so it's crazy. That makes me leery. Now we have MS-13, you know, they're a very notorious gang that are starting to infiltrate our communities, and And I'll be honest, we think that there's people that aren't coming from, Mexico and other places and stuff, but they are coming here. They've been coming, to South Dakota for years. What is that one big time, guy, that is in jail, federal jail for drug charges? El Chapo, thank you. El Chapo, anyway, his son grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota. They arrested him. He got put away for sexually abusing 3 minors. And I think the prosecutor didn't even know that he was El Chapo's son until after the fact he got sentenced. And so I asked a close friend of mine who kind of knew about the situation. I said, well, who was El Chapo with? And who was the woman? Was she white? Was she native? And she was a native woman.
So he was a U.S. citizen?
Yeah, his son was a U.S. citizen, grew up in Rapid City, and his mom's a Native American. So he'd been coming to South Dakota for quite a while, before he got arrested and stuff.
So thank you for that. Thank you. I mean, I don't think we need to talk about safety and women violence and discriminate against our fellow Mexican indigenous population. So I mean, stranger danger and being safe in general, I think, is what's most important. I do have a question about Project Safe. Is this a Project Safe?
That's actually us. That's Restoring Hope.
Oh, Restoring Hope.
Yeah. What's your question?
So I was just wondering whose budget that is.
That's ours, and that's this is accurate as of May. And Carmen said this was last minute, so she said she will get you guys something up to date as soon as Medina can pull it together for her, more detailed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we have a semi-annual report that's pending too, from January to June, but the reports unfortunately aren't working on the internet as far as there's some technical glitches. So we'll get that to you guys also. Just a FYI, this 3 years, 36-month period is gonna end at the end of September, and we should know if it's gonna be refunded for 3 years. It may or may not. If it's not, that means there is no more domestic violence shelter in Lorebro. That's just the reality of a 3-year. But my guess is Carmen really had good, she's got a good record financially and in the DOJ field, so she should get awarded. It'll still be managed from there, but the goal has been and always was, and it's in the grant narrative, to start nonprofit 501c3 with the ladies or males or whoever wants to be in the community, for this board to be run by community members of Lorebro and to set the budget, manage the grants, and to start off. And Carmen's Native Coalition does that. They help board members get trained, help shelters get established where there's a need that's not being met. So hopefully that's the plans. But she said if you need anything, let me know and she'll gather it for you. Any kind of information or stats.
Okay, and so Project Safe budget, did you say you submitted to Ursula?
Yep.
Okay. And then family services would fall under Lisa, right?
Yep, family services.
And so then, I guess, family violence being, on the uprise, are you reaching out when incidents happen to let folks know what resources are available, or?
Well, like Vicky said, I mean, people, like the PD calls us over here, or they refer them to us. And as far as, we can't go to their homes and stuff, that's just a policy for the safety of the victim, the safety of the staff as well, to not go in the homes unless we're absolutely sure that it's safe or the person there that is threatening violence has been arrested and that. But yes, there is awareness about it and they know of our services.
So two separate pots of money, two separate grants, right?
Separate victimizations.
Two separate victim populations.
FIPSA, I believe, comes through HHS, right?
Yeah,
And so HHS actually has this pot of money for
Yeah.
victimizations, and it runs through the state of South Dakota, correct?
no,
No?
no,
Federal?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So she does the FIPSA for Lorbrew and Fort. So when you look at her stats, her service numbers, she's showing you what
Combined services.
combined service just for
Yeah.
family violence, or are you taking
No,
DVs
that's
in?
everything, yeah.
Okay, so that's why her numbers will be higher, because we're only servicing the Lord Brew community, and she's servicing Fort Thompson, probably Big Bend, Crow Creek, Lord Brew, family violence, and the same victimizations I'm servicing, but not the same victims. So if somebody comes to her for services because they want to use her services, maybe they have a conflict with Barbara. There's only two of us, so, or maybe they come to, because we've serviced a couple Fort Thompsons, but they were brought over by police officers when they needed to house them immediately. And that's, we can always we can get referrals from Wachoni, from Chamberlain, from Pierre, and we have to house them. We can't say, oh no, this is just for Lorbrew victims. No, we can't say that, as long as they're a victimization that we service. So if somebody is in an intimate partner violence in Fort Thompson, and she says, we're full, can you house them? We have openings, we have to house them, according to Department of Justice. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And the only time that we can't provide services when there's a conflict of interest. So when I say there's a conflict of interest, like so if we were serving a male, because he was abused, and then say a year later, his girlfriend comes to us for service, we can't serve that woman because we've already served him. So we're gonna refer her to Restoring Hope or somewhere else. We're saying, sorry, it's a conflict of interest and we can't serve you.
And we've had a few of those already because we're so small. You know, our victims, their abusers could come in, and we can't say, you know, I'm sorry, but there's a conflict of interest, is all we could say. Then we have a partially served person, because all we're doing is a referral. Oh.
Okay, so Wachoni Wawokia,
Yep.
is that over both of you, or just?
No, just that's the name of the organization, Wachoni Wawokia.
So is that-
Families, which
that's
is
over
Project Safe is under, yeah.
Yeah, Native Women's Society of the Great Plains is who financially manages Restoring Hope for Lord Brew.
Native Women's Society of the Great Plains?
Yep, Carmen O'Leary's the executive director.
And then the hotel that's in town, that's under you?
Yes.
And what is that?
Pathfinder Center.
Pathfinder Centers. And that's open, that's available for our tribal members too?
Yep,
And is that only for sex trafficking?
yes.
Okay. Do you give tours of that? I've never been once in there.
Oh, yeah, if you want a tour, let me know.
Nice.
Any of you, if you'd like a tour of it, take a tour, yeah.
Okay.
Randy was there.
So today she's asking for the resolution, which prompted thank you ladies for coming and explaining all that. For resolution that will lead the agency in the submission of this application on behalf of the Lord Bill Tribe and will assume full responsibility for the fiscal integrity as well as program development and implementation of this application. But the financial stuff we don't have, you said you gave to Ursula?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You might have to send it again if you don't recall.
But I brought a copy, just in case.
Awesome. Great.
Let's see, I know, I was like, you never got those back in January? I sent them to both of you.
I never got them either.
Well, what the?
For them on the finance.
I know, yeah, I'll send you that email. I'll come to you and you can
And
make
then I'll
copies of
scan
them.
And then do you folks regularly, like, do you report to?
Yeah,
Is there like a self-service meeting or
the two, in our goals and objectives, the two things that Restoring Hope is required, well, there's, I believe, 8 on our semi-annual reports, and I can go over those narratives, but one of them was to establish a shelter, which we did. We first was a small house, then the school, then this. So we kind of got settled there, buy furniture, whatnot, but we need to be part of the interagency meetings and the suicide meetings. And that's not been happening lately. I mean, they're back open in public, I believe, right?
Not interagency.
What about this? Because see, the suicide, and I noticed the last one I got, they had a date set, then they switched the date, then I was looking at it, then they switched it again. So once it starts switching up on me, I just can't keep track. If I can keep track of that initial one, or if it's the same Thursday at 10 like it used to be.
Just get a hold of Tanya Durrell.
Yeah, I think it's the other one sends me those.
Yeah.
But that's part of our agency. We're supposed to be a CCR, and I don't know if you do the CCR too, but we have to be a CCR, or we're supposed to be involved in the CCR. So that if we get somebody that's not qualified for our services, but they're really qualified for AA, then we can do some of that initial stuff so they have to go and repeat their whole story and stuff up there. So that's why we do the interagency stuff. That make sense?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know when interagency's ever gonna come back, so.
Okay, is there any other questions?
Brian hung that up. I mean, works on that, yeah.
Oh, I
don't have-
seen his Facebook post. He's on a boat somewhere.
Oh, I have one
Just here
other
for-
thing is, I do have posters.
Oh, yeah.
That, so, under one of our, here, Vicky, can you
Yeah,
pass those around?
Sure can.
And they hung them up around here too, but this is our MMIWG poster, that, is through, a foundational grant that we got for Pathfinder. And so, anyway, we get like $7,000, to help out with, you know, any families for helping with, you know, gas money, searching, you know, making posters, whatever, to help families out and that. So anyway, we just got those posters, printed. Those just came in last week, so hot off the press. And that will help, I mean, not just for Crow Creek and Loreboro, but, you know, any other families, throughout, you know, all other reservations that need help as well, so.
Thank you. And, as soon as Mark comes back, we'll do that, resolution, but in the meantime, until he comes back, we can move on, though. But thank you.
You guys.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you guys gonna approve the,
Yeah, whenever he comes back and we'll have her,
okay, great.
slide over to you.
Just go, all right.
Thank you for the jelly, Ann.
Yeah, thank you guys. Enjoy.
And Jerry. huh?
So should I take the other, or are we missing? Who we missing?
John,
Oh, so John
I
gets,
wanna give the other one too. So
John can get one,
Or do you
and,
wanna give the other one too?
I don't know.
Tribal manager's right there, or there's an elder there.
Oh. There you go. Yeah, enjoy. All right. we'll
Thank
see
you again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, you too.
See you, Lisa.
All right, we'll see you, Randy.
Thanks for the jelly.
Enrollment?
I gotta look at Grandma Marlene real quick. She took one off your guys' list.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Sadie, come up real quick. We'll get you done before enrollment, but, enrollment, you're on deck. Come up to the front. Sorry. Got a couple questions on the surplus, your surplus stuff. Ask away.
What was that? Was that your surplus?
Yep, that was,
Oh, okay, yeah.
See, I
The
didn't-
Vehicles,
yep,
do they work?
yep, they're actually good vehicles, just that we got a new school bus and we got that Suburban this last year, so now that bus garage where the high school also has their other vehicles, it's getting really overcrowded, so now we have to kind of figure out where we're gonna put the rest of the vehicles at, so we can make room for, because the high school got new vehicles, we got new vehicles. I believe the facility got new vehicles, so it's kind of just becoming a little bit of a clutter of vehicles down there. We need to figure out, I didn't know for sure. I just got told from Deb that we need to put them on a surplus, and then I don't know what you guys do with them from there, if it's donation or tribal bids or however that goes forth, but.
Okay, so that was my clarification. They're working vehicles. Was there a dishwasher?
Yep, there's a dishwasher, kitchen cabinets, the We're supposed to be having some kitchen cabinets come in probably the last week of August. So then once we have those tore out, those will be up for grabs. We have a stove, we're gonna get a new stove here soon. That'll be up for grabs. Office chairs, which is really not that big of a deal. A dishwasher, we've had that probably in the Head Start, which needs to be moved. We've had that for 5 months, just sitting in our kitchen, just taking up a bunch of space. 24 passenger school bus, that's 2,000, and a Ford Freestar van, that's a 2006.
Since you get, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the van still works good, the bus still works good, as Dean said. So as far as I know, they're all still good functioning vehicles, maybe just a little high on mileage and a little bit older, but other than that.
Okay.
Good to go.
Stove, is that a stove used to cook for a lot?
Yeah, it's a big commercial stove, so it's
Or
up,
burners, or?
I think there's 8 burners and then like a slab, you know, where you can grill like pancakes or something pretty large, and then there's,
How come we don't auction them off or something, make some money for you guys and stuff?
yeah, so
Your Antran, is that a yellow bus? That 24 passenger?
Yep, that's a yellow bus. Yeah, I asked our program specialist if we're able to auction these off and put more money like in our student account for field trips, but she said since we bought the items with federal funds that we can't make money off of that and put it back into our own account. So we have to put them on a surplus, and then you guys either get bids from them, and I don't know for sure, I guess. I've never done a surplus before, so I'm hoping you guys know more of what happens after the surplus is happened.
There was some kind of rule of reg where you have to do something with the inventory.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, all right, I guess we could discuss that with finance and procurement. I just wanted to know if they were working and.
Yes, and that's, is that,
We do a resolution under lowest bid
Yeah.
with CBS.
Yeah, we already passed that.
Oh, okay.
No problem, buddy, no problem. Sadie?
yeah, I guess I have one more other question real fast. Recently, I talked to Shannon yesterday about this, but and Randy knows about this, but HKG, we terminated them from our contract from our multipurpose room just for it being 10 months. Now I have 4 months to build the multipurpose room. I've been trying to contact the finance office and a couple other people, asked Shayna, but they said that I don't know for sure if I had to re-get bids for the multipurpose room, because I'm kind of in a time crunch of I don't know if I have time to waste another month and a half getting bids again and then picking that person, or if there's any way to just go forth and get the person that's able to do the project right now before we run out of funds again, because we can't carry them over into a second year now. So don't know for sure if that's something you guys would know, or
I would,
it's possible, or.
I'll go visit with Sonia on that real quick, but I think you would have to rebid it. And maybe if you got 2, because how many bids were on there? 3? HKG?
There was 3 bids, HKG and I think Lorbrel Enterprise, and
Is that Chris Lowe? Is that the one?
that would have been for the kitchen cabinets. This would have been someone else. I wasn't there when they got the bids because Brian got the bids probably a year ago.
Okay.
And so then I picked them 11 months ago, HKG, because they were the lowest bid at the time. And then, so I know Sharps wants to put a bid in, and Nate Nealon wants to put a bid in. But since Nate Nealon's working on our carpets, our cabinets, and he pretty much said, hey, I can have this done for you in a month. And I'm like, that would be awesome, because we need it done as soon as possible, or we're just gonna lose the funds.
Yeah, you know, the deal was anything over 5,000 have to have the 3-bid process, so let's get with Sonia.
Yep. Okay. All right.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ladies?